Hey, check this thing out,
Johnny said from beside me. I looked around and saw an old book sitting on a stump. We all walked over to where it was sitting to get a better look. There were a bunch of burnt-out candles and stuff laying around it, all over the ground.
What do you guys think about all this?
Mark asked as he reached down to pick it up. I don't think you should be touching that shit, I said nervously.
Calm down, it's just some dumb book,
he said, flipping through the pages.
Okay, wait. This looks pretty weird. Let's look around one more time. I'm gonna hold on to this. So we don't find nothing else, we can at least try to get a lead on this.
A sharp gasp cut through the air as the loose boards of the barn started to rattle and shake. Jesus, she's still alive, Chris whispered as the person began to struggle for air. But it was cut short to the sound of the receiver clicking and the impact of a bullet.
You hate to see it,
Mark said, lowering his rifle.
Let's just get out of here. I don't think we're gonna find anything else,
he added, picking up the book off the ground from where he dropped it.
Hey, get me one of those burner phones out of the glove box,
Mark said after we'd been driving for a while.
Hey, Miss Abigail, you up? Yeah, vampire, I forgot. Of course you're up. Anyway, I was wondering if you could check something out for me. No, not on appraisal. We found something and it's really weird. Okay, we'll be there in about 30, he said before hanging up.
Here, take this, Chris said, shoving that book into my arms. Try to keep your lips touching each other this time before she kicks the shit out of you again.
We're here, Miss Abigail,
Mark yelled once we were inside.
This is some wacky shit we got this time.
Stop yelling, she shouted from behind the corner. Now bring me whatever you're talking about. I have things to do.
Hey, Miss Abigail, I think I found some kind of culty book or something. Hey, Louie, bring the thing,
Mark told me. Okay, let me see what you got this time, she said as I sat the book down on the counter. But as she flipped through the pages, her face got dark and grim. Where did you find this again?
Murder scene. Broad was upside down and her guts were hanging out and everything. Like right there,
he said, pointing to an illustration. Suddenly she just slams the book shut and shoves it across the counter and shouts, "Get that out of my shop! It shouldn't even be here!"
What are you talking about? I know for a fact you got all kinds of crazy cursed shit in the back of this joint,
Mark tried to ask. No, I mean it shouldn't be here, she said even louder, gesturing broadly around. Here in this reality. Get it away from me, now! Fuck me, what was that all about? I asked as we left.
Don't know, never seen it like that before,
Mark answered, looking at the book as we walked to the van.
Either way, we still gotta find this douchebag,
he said, tossing the book at me. Once we got to the shop, Mark got out first, saying,
Okay, I got some things I need to take care of around here. You guys see if you can run across anything.
And then he walked inside, leaving me in the van with Chris and Johnny.
What the fuck are we supposed to do now?
Johnny asked after taking a few seconds. But I was already flipping back through the book and wasn't paying that much attention. Then I noticed something weird. A picture in the book. Hey, how many people turned up missing so far? 3, I think. No, 4. Why? Check this out, I said, showing them the picture. Some kind of ritual looking thing, right? The picture was of 5 people in the same state where we found the one in the barn. Upside down, their stomachs cut open. Intestines hanging out over their faces. And there was something in the middle of them. Like a blackness pouring out of the hole in the center. And on the next page, there was what looked like a really old man. All hunched over and surrounded by bodies on the ground all around them. Okay, so I know I'm new to the whole paranormal thing, but this really looks like a ritual to me, I said as we looked down at the book. Plus that bitchy vampire girl got all freaked out, so I'm thinking there's something to this.
So you think whoever did this is definitely going to be looking for another victim?
Yeah, I think so. But the problem is who, how, and when, Chris answered. What do you think? He asked me as I flipped back and forth through the book. Oh, what? Oh, actually want to know what I think? I asked suspiciously. Yeah, that couldn't hurt. Well, I'm thinking we should study this thing, I said, holding the book up. We might be able to figure that out. I'm looking at the picture right now, you know. Being that I can't fucking read the thing,
It wasn't as nearly as stupid as I expected it to be. Okay, so what you got so far?
So there's this one drawing here with 5 people and a dark thing in the middle. And if I've learned anything from the movies, if it's a circle in a book, it's probably a circle in real life. So maybe we should, I don't know, like drawing a map where the bodies were found, see if it works out like that. Holy shit, that kind of makes sense, Chris said. So after we spent forever trying to find a map, we decided to download a map and print it out. After we played hell trying to find a working printer for some reason, we finally got a hard copy of a map, and then we realized we didn't know where the notepad with all the locations was. After an hour or two of tearing the top apart, only to discover it was in Mark's back pocket with his wallet, we finally got around to doing what we set out to do. I'll be damned. It's actually a circle, Chris said, looking over the map. So what now? I don't know. I guess, can we maybe get the places the victims were picked up and see how far away from the place they were found is?
Look at Sherlock over here.
Johnny shouted, slapping my back hard enough that I could have punched him for it. Then he called Mark out to see if we could get information for us. And a few minutes later, he had picked up the spots listed and charted them on the map.
Son of a bitch, you some kind of savant or something?
Mark asked as he looked at the locations, which were all in close proximity to where the bodies were found. I guess I just thought about what I wouldn't do in the same situation, and hoped our guy wasn't smart enough or was in a big enough hurry to make a bad call like that, I explained. I guess we got lucky in that one, but I'm kinda still anxious about what the killer's trying to do. The stuff in this book is pretty fucked up looking, and to make that vampire toddler lady run us out of a place like that? I don't know. Bad vibes. But look, it looks like the last point of the circle isn't too far from my place.
I'd be careful about the toddler stuff,
Johnny warned me. Why? She's like a cranky gothic Cabbage Patch Kid, and she's under me, isn't she? I asked, slowly turning down to look at the 4'5" child of rage glaring up at me before sighing. Johnny, get the aspirin ready. I woke up and grabbed the pill bottle and the water that had been left resting on my chest before I sat up. Took about 4 of them and washed them down to ease the thumping in my skull. Once I was upright, I staggered over to the table where everyone else was, Abigail included. What's going on? I asked, half burping up some of the water. Charming. That was real charming. Abigail sat with a look of disgust. Wait until you can hear what the other end can do, I added, grinning at her revulsion as I joined them at the table. So what's happening right now?
Miss Abigail finally agreed to take a look at the thing and tell us what we're dealing with,
Mark said, waving the book that looked comically big next to her.
She says it's looking pretty bad like you suspected.
How bad? Bad, Abigail answered. The circle ritual, it doesn't really have a set size. If it's done right, then however big the circle is how big the affected area will be. And what's the effect in question? It's not anything I've heard of before. Something about the veil of blackness. I think it's something from outside our whole universe.
You mean like the guys from the
No. She interrupted Chris's question. Different dimensions are still part of our universe. There are still rules, immutable laws of physics that they all have to follow. But this is different. It's saying something about a place where cause can be a result but is also simultaneous. Look here, she said, placing her finger on the page and reading. Behind the veil, what will come to pass has passed before, and pass in the present, and is the cause of the passing. That made my brain hurt. I groaned, trying to figure out what she was saying. Just think, that causality doesn't work the same in wherever this is, she told us. Causality? Time. It's time. One thing happening and causing another thing that causes another thing, she explained. Oh, okay. I think I get that, he said, still waiting for the painkillers to kick in. Gets worse, doesn't it? I feel like it gets worse. It gets worse. Look at this, she told me, flipping to the page with an old man on it and reading again. It's talking about someone called the Rotting One. Think. Listen to what it says. The Rotting One, who revels only in the blood and suffering of those in the veil, lies in wait for those who worship their agony in his name without end.
Sounds kind of biblical to me.
Mark said sarcastically, scratching his head. Yes, it does. That's part of what's so concerning. Abigail said grimly. So, you saying this thing is like the devil? I asked nervously. No. So, God? Is this the real God? No. Not the one in the Bible, at least. What do you mean? How do you know? Because I've met that one. He's not what you think he is. He's just some Sumerian volcano god that figured out how to build his brand. He's not omnipotent or anything. He just sells books, so to speak. There's someone who lives in a mansion a few miles from here who could totally take him out if they really wanted to. And he's not even worshipped by anyone. Yo, you don't mean... Chris said, making a scary face and pointing his fingers over his mouth like fangs, then angling his hands over his forehead. I do, she said, nodding her head. Well, fuck me. Who knew? He said, looking half astonished. So, what about the old bastard? I think this sounds so familiar because this might have had some influence on the themes of the Bible, especially parts to do with blood sacrifice and suffering. Maybe even in religions older than that, back to the Sumerian theology, she suggested. But this is assuming a lot since this is written in cuneiform. But even that's strange, just being written in a book and not stamped into a tablet like it should be. She trailed off, almost talking to herself more than the rest of us. So what's got you so spooked about it? I questioned her. Have you taken a really close look at this book? Look at it. Look at the pages and the cover and the binding. Or should I say the lack of a binding? There's no place where I can see the pages are separate from one another. It's like it was just conjured out of nothing. Not made or written, just created. That's not something you see very often, even in our world.
So what you're saying is you think this thing and what it says is legit?
Johnny asked her. I do. And we need to stop this ritual from happening. Otherwise, we'll have to move somewhere else and start from scratch. Her last words had us all hauling ass out of the shop in various directions with various tasks assigned to us. Since the potential location was close to my apartment, I got to go home for a while. Unfortunately, Mark thought it would be cute and witty to send Abigail along with me to keep another trained eye on things. Along with having way more strength than I did, would make her extra useful to have around. Personally, I'm pretty sure he just did it to fuck with me. The prick. Try not to let anyone see you, I told her once we got there. I don't feel like explaining why a single middle-aged man is trying to take a little girl up to his crummy apartment. I'm terribly sorry. Could you say that one more time? It sounded almost like you just told me what to do. I just mean it might bring us a lot of unwanted attention, you know, given the circumstances. I tried to backpedal. Just go inside, she commanded. Okay, no, but wait, I said as I just ran out in front of her. Seriously, I think I might have a thing starting up with the landlord. She's kinda cute in a desperate, miserable sort of way, and I really don't want to have to explain you to her. Wow, your standards are lower than I expected, she responded, pushing me aside. I think that's her now, she added as I heard the office door creak open. Shit! I yelled as I ran in the direction to shield Abigail from a view. Hey, what's going on? Erically croaked. Just locking up the office? She said, rubbing her eyes as she yawned. What's with the interrogation all of a sudden? Oh, well, I was wondering if sometime you might want to get something to eat again sometime. I said sometime twice, didn't I? I stammered, trying to keep her eyes on me. Oh, yeah, sure, why not? She answered as soon as I saw Abigail's dress disappear around the corner. Ah, well, okay then. I guess we'll do that then. I started slowly walking around her and towards the stairs leading up to my apartment. You couldn't just wait? I barked as we walked through the door. Oh my, you have a Why do you have a pet goblin? She asked when she noticed the thing laying on his back, sliding itself across the floor with its legs. It's more of an involuntary roommate you can't trust around real pets, I said, also watching the little creature continue its path across the apartment. It's kind of like having a toddler that might stab you if you don't feed it fast enough. A perfect pair, I'm sure. She quit placing her hands behind her back and strolling around the room as she was inspecting the place. So, how long are we supposed to be waiting here? She asked, wiping dust off the top of the counter with her finger. Yeah, Mark said he's got a bunch of people keeping their eyes open for anything screwy. So if something happens and we're close to it, we go find it. Till then, we wait, I explained. No TV, obviously no books. This is going to be so boring. She sighed, looking over the whole room once again. Oh my God, stop already! I finally shouted from the table after about 10 minutes of Abigail lying on my bed and thunking her fancy lace boots against the wall. How old are you anyway? Very. Really? I complained at the gesture. So how old really? I asked for real that time. They say you've been around for ages or something, right? What's that like? When I asked the question, the thumping suddenly stopped as she thought for a second before cracking a wide grin. Why so curious? She asked in return, leaning her head back to look at me. I don't know, the whole paranormal shtick is new to me, you know? She hummed to herself, standing up off the bed. Are you sure that's what you're thinking about? She asked, slowly walking my way. What do you mean? I started nervously at the approaching mischievous smile. Don't act dumb, she whispered once she reached me at the table. I'm several hundred years old, after all. There's nothing wrong with being curious about a new experience. She kept pressing as she leaned in closer and closer. Haven't you ever wondered what it would be like being with someone who looks like me? Whoa, okay, hell no! What the hell is wrong with you? I yelled, shoving her away from me. What kind of freak do you think I am, lady? God damn! At first, I started to apologize, thinking I really made her cry. But as I leaned down, I could see there were tears of laughter. You're a monster, I growled down at her. Of course I am, she said through her cackles. After a while, she tired herself out and let her arms and legs flop down on the apartment floor with another dull thud. I couldn't help it. I had to know what you'd do. That's real messed up, you know. Yeah, just think about it from my perspective. What are you talking about? What do you think it's like, finding a relationship? Think about it for a second. I'm an adult in my head, but look like a 10 or 11-year-old. If I were to find an adult man who finds me attractive in that way, what would that mean about him? That would be kind of fucked up, I guess, now that I think about it. So what do you do about it? Nothing anymore, I suppose. But, well, I have leveraged this appearance before in the past for financial benefit. That sounds like you're suggesting you were I started to say, but she interrupted. I was for a little while, till I reached my goal. That sounds just awful, I mumbled. Much more worse than you can imagine. I catered to the worst society could offer. My ability to heal and regrow limbs and organs meant they could do pretty much anything they wanted without consequences. Like what? No, wait. I asked before I realized I didn't want to know. I told her, throwing my hands up to stop it before she started to answer. Different question. Are you, okay, like up here? I asked, tapping my finger against my head. She shifted in her seat across the table from me for a second before she said anything. Yes, I suppose. It's been a long time. I've had that antique shop for so long now, it all seems so long ago. But nobody has ever asked me that before. I'm fine. Perhaps lonely, I think, but otherwise okay. So that's why you're so desperate to hold on to the antique shop. After all, you went through so much to get it. Makes sense. After that, we just sat around and talked for a while. It was interesting listening to what someone who had been around for so long had seen and done. A while into it, we started not to hate each other so much. Then my phone started to ring. Oh, I think we got action here, I said, snatching it off the table.
We've got something.
Mark told me from the other end.
A bum spotted a shady guy skulking around your area. I'm texting you the location. What the hell's that noise?
He asked, hearing the sound of the goblin trying to murder a cockroach with one of my shoes. After telling Abigail what was going on and managing to wrestle my other shoe away from the demonic gnome, we started to leave. But as I grabbed the knob, before I opened the door, I stopped to look at Abigail. Hey, so, I was thinking about what you were saying, and how about this? If things don't work out with me and the landlord, maybe I can get past the weirdness and stuff of the whole appearance thing, and we can, try a thing or something. Yeah? You don't have any, moral problems with that? She asked curiously. Yeah, I kill people for money. Hell, I helped sell some broad to a monster on my first day on the job. And I really take the high ground and shit about shit anymore. Besides, I have a literal that running around my home. I answered, pointing to the goblin. I'm up to my asshole in weird shit right now. I added, grabbing the bag that held the rifle and equipment Mark gave me. Whoops, almost forgot this. So if you and her don't, will you consider it? You mean that? She asked curiously, with a little glimmer of excitement in her eyes. Yeah, sure, I'm not making any other promises. Just that I'll give it the old college try. Just dial back the cuteness. I mean, the old lady personality is one thing I can work with. Also, watch out for the landlady. You're still gonna be one hell of a nightmare to explain for like a million reasons. Yeah, I know. No, you stay! She suddenly shouted at the goblin, who slid to a stop and sat with a soft thud as he tried to dash out the door. Of course he listens to you. I sighed as I closed the door behind me. Okay, says we should be able to cut through these trees and end up right where he saw the guy. I shouted over to Abigail as she was jogging through the woods up behind the apartments. Mark said we were looking for a guy in all black with a gut. Yeah, that's helpful. We waited at the edge of the trees for a while, hoping he'd pass by eventually. But it didn't seem like it was going to happen. So we finally crept out and tried to find anything that might get us on the right track. Hey, you don't have a super sense of smell or something that can help us find this guy by any chance, do you? I'm not a dog. Before I could say anything back, we heard a woman scream in the distance before a car slammed shut. That might be something, I suggested, looking down at her. You think? She shouted back, sprinting in the direction of the sounds. But soon after, we saw a dumpy-looking guy fly past us in a white car. Shit, we need a ride! I yelled, trying to figure something out. A few seconds later, another car rolled up to a stop next to us. That might work! I ran over to the driver's side, Abigail close behind. Thinking quick, I grabbed her in one arm and pulled my pistol, pressing the barrel to her head. Out of the car or I'll blow her fucking brains out! Move! Move! I shouted at the driver. Who does this kind of thing? This is supposed to be California! The traumatized woman screamed as she clawed her way out of the car in panic. Guess she never played Grand Theft Auto. I said to myself as me and Abigail both climbed in. You're a psychopath. You know that, right? Abigail asked me as we sped down the road. She's probably scarred for life. I didn't have time to be polite. I explained myself, finally seeing the fleeing car in the distance. Where's this asshole going? I asked myself as he veered into what looked like an abandoned warehouse. Once he made the turn, I switched the headlights off and followed behind him, down the short wooden path to the back of the building. Here, text Mark and tell him where we are. Then set it to silent. I said, handing her my phone. Don't text and drive, kids. This public service announcement brought to you by the Educational Foundation of telling people they aren't as good at driving as they think they are. Okay, I just sent it, but it might be up to us to stop him from finishing the ritual. I don't think they'll get here in time, she said as she handed my phone back. Look, he's stopping, she added, pointing at the car's brake lights in the distance. Okay, time to suit up, I thought to myself once we stopped. I grabbed the bag out of the back seat and slid the vest on before grabbing the rifle and clambering around. You ready? I asked her over the screams in front of us. I'm over here. Oh. Fuck, it's dark out here, I complained, turning my face to the voice behind me. Here, Hold my hand, I'll lead you there. She told me as I felt a small, abnormally strong hand wrap around my wrist. Then she started dragging me along behind her. Once we got closer, we could see the man who was in the car dragging the unconscious woman along behind him. But then, I noticed he was walking up to meet someone who was waiting for him under the occasionally flickering light attached to the outside wall of the warehouse. He was a taller, slender guy who was wearing all black. But he had an old-style hat, like what's-his-name wears in that Breaking Bad show, and black circle-framed glasses. At night. What do you think that is? I asked Abigail as I saw him, ducking behind a nearby bush. I don't know, but I've got a bad feeling about him. So what do we do now? Thinking for a second, I just took a deep breath and said, "Fuck it, just follow my lead," as I stood up from behind the bush. "Alright, asshole, step away from the woman. Hands where I can see him, sunglasses."
You seem to have been followed.
Sunglasses' deep, unsettling voice oozed at the other guy, who just looked at us in confusion at the situation. "I said hands!" I yelled at him again as I moved at keeping him in the sights. I could hear Abigail's footsteps next to me as we got closer and closer. "Abby, if anything happens, go with the tall guy. I'll deal with Beer Gut and try and drag the girl away." "Okay," she said as we were almost on top of them. But at that moment, the chubby guy made a move towards the woman. So out of reflex, I popped a few rounds off, catching his shoulder, causing him to run towards the car. As soon as that happens, Abigail lunged at the tall guy, so fast I could hardly see what happened until he swatted her to the side with one hand, sending her small body slamming into the side of the building. He then leaned down and picked her up off the ground by the hair while she was still rattled by the impact, drawing a curved blade of a knife out from behind his jacket and placing it under her neck.
Drop the rifle and kick it over,
he instructed me, not even once slightly changing in volume or tone.
Pistol 2. It wouldn't bother me to see this disgusting thing's head off.
"She's a vampire, buddy. That wouldn't work out so well for you this time," I said, keeping my rifle leveled.
You think so, do you?
He said, placing the flat of the knife up against her neck, where it began to sear her skin like it was 1,000 degrees or something. "Okay, okay!" I shouted as she screamed in pain, doing what he said as I slid the strap over my head and placed the rifle on the ground along with my pistol before kicking them both in his direction. "Now let it go."
Why? You don't have any leverage to be making any demands right now. Also, I can't have this thing running around loose causing trouble for me. No, better to do away with her now and get it over with.
"Wait!" I started to shout when I saw his hand start to move, but I was stopped by a voice from behind me. "Drop!" I hit the dirt as Mark fired several rounds as he circled around from the side of the building, hearing the plink of the bullets hitting the metal siding. Sunglasses tossed Abigail in my direction and made for the car. Mark tried to catch him a few more shots, but he was way faster than he looked for his age. Shots hissed by the car and the door slammed shut and the man floored it down the back alley of the warehouse, leaving the pudgy guy to try running after him.
Wait, don't leave me here with them!
He begged as he tripped over his feet trying to catch up, but he wasn't anywhere close. Once he stopped, I saw his eyes jump from me to the pistol on the ground. "Don't you?" I tried to shout, but he jumped on top of it before I could do anything. Next thing I knew, the barrel was in his mouth, and he pulled the trigger.
Son of a bitch.
Mark complained, walking up beside me.
Well, guess I don't get to interrogate him.
He added, pulling out his phone and snapping a photo.
Hey, glad you two shitheads could finally grace this commoners with your presence,
he said once he saw Chris and Johnny coming around the back.
Too late, you missed all the fun. We're leaving. You okay there, Miss Abigail?
He asked as he joined the rest of us. "I'm okay," she answered, rubbing the scorch spot on her neck. "What about her?" she asked, pulling my shirt with one hand and pointing to the still unconscious woman with the other. "She'll wake up eventually," I told her. "What? How's this my problem? I already saved her life. I committed a carjacking for her," I protested to her.
What if some perverts find her back here?
"God damn it! Are you gonna help me get her into the van or what?" I complained, walking over to the woman.
Yeah, that's just one of them. We still know who the other guy is, though. Yeah. If we hear anything back, we'll let you know.
Mark spoke into his phone before hanging up. By then, we were all back at the shop and we were gathered around the table.
Well, guys, I think we looked out on this one, but things worked out good enough. Nobody we cared about died, and that's what really matters.
Mark said, sitting down on an old plastic lawn chair.
But this book thing, I think we should take it to Tom. See what he thinks about it. Until then, it stays under lock and key here at the shop.
He instructed.
Now that we got that all cleared up, Louis, you got an errand after you drop off Miss Abigail.
He said, tossing a wrinkled, rolled-up paper bag onto the table that had been sitting under the chair.
Drop it off and bring the money back here. Take the van this time.
He added, tossing me the keys. No rest for the wicked, I guess, he said with a laugh, picking up the bag and starting out the door. But before I could leave, Mark stopped me again.
Hold on, these are for you. You earned them.
He said, holding out a box for me to take. When I opened the lid, the first thing I saw was a black bowler hat, like the ones him, Chris, and Johnny wore all the time. Taking it out and sitting it on the table, I saw a gray-looking something underneath it. Once I pulled it out, I could tell it was a long, plaid gray sweater, just like Mark's red one and Johnny and Chris's green and blue ones.
You're a real part of the team. I don't got any doubts about being able to count on you. So, officially, welcome to Dirty Work Inc., the one and only Paranormal Mafia.
And they all lived criminally ever after. The end.